What is going on, 12s? Huge news coming out of the Pacific Northwest that has everyone talking about our backfield depth. We brought in a new running back hoping he would lead the charge, but the situation has taken a dramatic turn after minicamp. With young talent shining and veterans recovering faster than expected, this player's spot on the 53-man roster is suddenly hanging by a thread. I have all the details on why this signing might be in serious trouble, so keep watching. Before we dive deep, show your passion and help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Emanuel Wilson arrived in the Pacific Northwest, with the Seattle Seahawks carrying the significant expectation that he would aggressively compete for the starting running back role. The organization brought him in under a one-year contract valued at $2 million, a financial commitment that was certainly not meant to break the bank, but still signaled a clear intent for him to contribute. However, as the dust settles following the team's mandatory minicamp, the outlook for Wilson has shifted dramatically. His path to securing a spot atop the depth chart is currently fading as other developments within the backfield take center stage. The Seahawks are now evaluating a landscape where the competition has intensified, and the initial plan involving Wilson faces new hurdles. While the financial investment was modest, the reality is that those resources could have been allocated toward different veteran options or alternative roster needs. Wilson's struggle to climb the ranks is not necessarily a reflection of individual failure or poor performance on his part. Instead, it is a direct result of teammates around him delivering performances that are shining even brighter in the eyes of the coaching staff. This competitive environment has left the coaching staff with difficult choices as they look toward the upcoming training camp. The focus is now entirely on how Wilson will respond to the current pressure of being pushed down the depth chart by rising internal competition. As we move deeper into the off-season preparations for 2026, the question is no longer just about his ability to play, but whether his specific skill set will earn him a place on the final squad. For the fans who always say, "Go Hawks," watching this positional battle unfold is going to be one of the most critical storylines to follow as the season approaches. The primary challenge for Emanuel Wilson stems from the impressive emergence of George Holani and the rookie first-round selection Jadarian Price. During the recently concluded minicamp sessions, the coaching staff opted to rotate Holani and Price through the first-team duties, a clear indicator of where the current internal priority lies. By allowing these two players to command the majority of the reps, the Seahawks have signaled that Wilson is currently not in contention for the starting job. This shift in personnel usage during practice is a significant development that alters the trajectory of Wilson's tenure with the team. When a player is relegated to second or third team reps, the opportunity to demonstrate value to the head coach becomes inherently more limited. Furthermore, the overall depth at the running back position has become increasingly crowded, adding another layer of complexity to Wilson's roster prospects. The performance of Holani and the rapid development of Price have created a scenario where the margin for error for other backs on the roster is razor thin. While Wilson will undoubtedly receive a fair opportunity to showcase his capabilities during the training camp sessions scheduled for next month, the current evidence suggests that he is facing an uphill climb. He will need to display a level of consistency and explosive playmaking ability that stands out above what has been shown by his peers to reclaim a meaningful role. The coaching staff has not closed the door on him yet, but the reality is that the hierarchy in the backfield has been established in a way that currently excludes him from the primary rotation. Every single rep in the coming weeks will now carry massive weight for his future in Seattle as he tries to prove he belongs. Why does this matter right now for the Seattle Seahawks? The situation surrounding Emanuel Wilson highlights the extreme volatility of the running back depth chart heading into the 2026 season. With the team already prioritizing the development of younger assets like Jadarian Price and George Holani, the room for error when managing the 53-man roster is virtually non-existent. The inclusion of these players in first-team duties effectively squeezes out veteran depth, making every contract decision look even more scrutinized by the front office. Beyond the competition, the health of the veteran core is also exerting pressure on the fringe players. Zach Charbonnet remains a pivotal figure in this narrative, as his progress from a January ACL injury is moving at an encouraging pace. While head coach Mike McDonald noted that Charbonnet is doing a great job and meeting his recovery expectations, his potential availability significantly complicates the final roster math. If the team decides to carry Charbonnet, Price, and Holani, there may only be a single roster spot remaining for any other running back. This scarcity of open positions forces the coaching staff to look at the total utility of each player. Additionally, the potential for the Seahawks to keep two fullbacks, specifically Robbie Ousts and Brady Russell, further threatens Wilson's chances of survival during the final cuts. When the team allocates spots to specialized roles like fullback, the cumulative effect is a reduction in the total number of running backs that the organization can reasonably retain. For Wilson, this means that he is not just competing against other running backs for a job. He is competing against the team's overall strategic decision to potentially carry more fullbacks, which directly hinders his path to the final 53-man roster this fall. The recovery timeline of Zach Charbonnet acts as a massive variable in how the Seahawks will eventually structure their backfield for the duration of the 2026 season. Although it would require a near miracle for Charbonnet to be prepared to participate in the Week 1 opener, given the surgical procedure performed in mid-February, his recovery is trending in a positive direction. Typical recovery windows for an ACL injury of this nature are a minimum of 9 months, which places his return somewhere in the latter half of the season. However, because Charbonnet is tracking on the better end of that recovery schedule, the coaching staff clearly views him as a long-term piece of the offensive puzzle, who will play a significant amount of football once he is cleared. Mike Macdonald has been vocal about the high expectations Charbonnet places on himself, and this dedication is keeping him relevant in the team's plans despite his current physical limitations. This reality creates a difficult scenario for Emanuel Wilson. If the team is planning for a full season with Charbonnet, Price, and Holani as their primary trio, the necessity for a player of Wilson's profile diminishes rapidly. Wilson is essentially fighting for the last remaining scraps of availability, knowing that the team's long-term vision is currently anchored to the players they are developing or rehabilitating. The front office and coaching staff must decide if Wilson provides enough value in short yardage or special teams roles to justify taking up a spot that might otherwise be used on a player with more positional versatility or higher long-term upside. As training camp nears, the pressure on Wilson to distinguish himself from the other backup options becomes the defining challenge of his tenure in the Pacific Northwest. Ultimately, Emanuel Wilson finds himself at a professional crossroads where his future with the Seattle Seahawks depends entirely on his ability to exceed the current expectations set by the coaching staff. The upcoming training camp is not just a standard phase of the offseason. It is the definitive moment where Wilson must prove that he is a superior asset to the alternatives currently filling the roster. The combination of Price's first-round potential, Holani's consistent usage in camp, and the inevitable return of Charbonnet creates a bottleneck that is difficult for any player to navigate. Wilson will receive his fair shake to compete, but the narrative has shifted away from him being a primary contributor toward him being a player who needs a major breakthrough to stay employed. The decision-making process will involve evaluating his performance in high-pressure scrimmage situations and his ability to contribute in areas outside of pure rushing, such as pass protection and special teams coverage. If he cannot make a significant impact during these sessions, the probability of him being released when the team makes its final roster cuts grows substantially. The investment of $2 million, while not an overwhelming burden on the team's salary cap, provides no long-term immunity against being cut. The team is focused on assembling the most effective unit for the 2026 season, and they have shown a clear willingness to rely on younger, internal solutions to get the job done. Wilson is aware of the gravity of the situation, as he has a significant amount of work to do to convince the coaches that he belongs on the final squad. His journey from being a hopeful addition to the backfield to being a player on the roster bubble is a testament to the high-stakes environment in Seattle.